I made $85,000 off one phone call. And I'm gonna break it down and show you how you can do it too. So what I did was I wholesaled a 12-unit apartment complex. What wholesaling is when you find a property at a deep discount and you sell it to another investor for a profit. So how I got this deal was from the evictions list at my local county. The evictions list is public information and anyone can request that data. So for you just go down to your local county courthouse and find out which court handles the evictions in your area, and you can request a list of recent eviction cases filed. In Texas, evictions are filed in the Justice of the Peace courts. So I went to my local Justice of the Peace court and requested a list of recent eviction cases filed in the last 30 days. The reason you want recent eviction filed cases is because landlords are more motivated to sell their property when they are filing the eviction. Think about it from the seller's perspective. No one wants to file an eviction. They're probably mentally drained and they're most emotional and would rather get rid of the property at that time. When you request this list from the county, make sure it includes the owner's name, the mailing address, and the property address. You need those three pieces of information in order to be able to contact the owner and ask them if they're interested in selling. Preferably, you want the list in an Excel file because that will make it easier to work with on your computer. Once you have this information, you can skip trace the owner's phone number and contact them. What skip tracing is when you look up someone's phone number just based off their name and their mailing address. So I did that for the list of evictions and I gave it to my VA or my virtual assistant to start cold calling them. She began cold calling and asking owners if they were interested in selling. I never mentioned that I got their information from an evictions list. I just say that I'm a local investor, or I tell my VA to say she works for a local real estate investor and we're just looking to purchase more properties in the area. We keep it generic and simple, and that seems to be the best way to talk to these sellers. So this deal in particular was a 12-unit apartment complex, and the owner was self-managing the complex and evicting tenants herself. I called her and scheduled a time to walk the apartments to double check the condition of the property. So over the phone, she had told me she wanted $200,000 for the 12-unit apartment complex. On the surface, that seems like a great deal. It's a very cheap price for 12 units. However, once I got there and I walked the property and I realized the amount of work it would need and the undesirable location, I knew I had to get it at a cheaper price. I brought my concerns up to her and she knew they were valid, and eventually we negotiated and settled on a price of $118,000. So we signed a contract and I turned it into a title company to open escrow. Now the next step is selling the property to an investment buyer. What I like to do is I like to go on Facebook, and there's a lot of Facebook real estate investor groups they can market these deals to. What you wanna do is you type in your city's name or your market's name, and then real estate investor or real estate investing, and you'll find your local real estate investing groups. So I posted on these local real estate investing groups and I found a lot of interested buyers. When I post this deal though, I only post the purchase price of $200,000, the unit mix of 12-unit apartment complex, the zip code the property is in, and then just a few pictures on the post. I never give the full address out. I then got a lot of interest and I would vet the buyers to make sure that the interested buyers are legitimate buyers before providing all the information on the property. The reason you want to do this is to make sure that you don't get tire kickers and also that no one tries to go behind your back and take the deal from you. Eventually I picked a buyer that offered over asking at $205,000 cash. This buyer actually bought the property sight unseen. The reason they were able to do this is because I took a lot of detailed photos of every unit in the outside and I sent it all over in a Google Drive link so they can check the condition of the property from afar. Since the spread on this deal was a large amount, I decided to do a double closing. What that is when I would first buy the property from the seller and immediately resell it to the end buyer. This way the buyer doesn't know how much money I'm making, nor does the seller. But in order to do this, I needed transactional funding. Transactional funding is someone that will lend money just for the purchase of the property, and once I resell the property, they're paid back plus some interest. It's an extremely short-term loan that they can make some money on. The closing costs and the interest fee to the transactional lender ended up being right around $2,000. So to recap, I sold the property for $205,000. I spent $2,000 in closing costs and lender fees, and the seller, I had it under contract for $118,000. So my net profit ended up being $85,000. And this all came from one phone call to the seller off the evictions list. The best part about this is I didn't use a single dollar of my own money for this deal since I had a transactional lender. So to recap, the steps you can take to do this too and make money is 1, find a list of motivated sellers by going to your local county and getting some data. A good one for apartment complexes is the evictions list. 2. Skip trace that data and find the contact information of the owners and ask them if they're interested in selling. 3. Find one that's motivated and find a property that needs some work and negotiate a deeply discounted price for the property. The reason sellers will accept this is sometimes they'll take a lower price in exchange for speed and convenience. As you know, real estate is not a quick, easy sell. A lot of times it can be a long process with a lot of paperwork and documents to sell a home. However, many sellers are willing to give a discount on price in exchange for a smooth, quick, clean transaction where it's headache-free for them. Next, you want to turn the contract into a title company so they can open escrow. The next step is then to find the end buyer. Like I said, my recommendation is real estate Facebook groups, and that's where you'll find a lot of serious investors. Once you find the end buyer, you just send them an assignment contract saying they will take over the original contract for a new price, and then at closing, you'll be paid out the difference. So you can literally just copy this process step by step, and if you stick to it, you'll start doing deals eventually. Now, if this helped you and you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll provide more tips on how you can make money in real estate.